I could face the greenway.
So the back of your home has sliding glass doors?
Yes, it does.
From those sliding glass doors, are you able to have a clear view of the greenway path?
Yes.
While you were back there, did you look out those sliding glass doors at the greenway?
Yes, I did.
When you did that, did you notice anything that stood out to you?
Yes, as I was talking to my daughter on my right-hand side, I seen someone coming down the pathway on the greenway, but he had camouflage on, which was kind of odd. Then I looked closer, and he had a weapon. At the time, I thought it might have been a rifle or a shotgun. I wasn't sure. But the way he was walking, because I'd never seen one behind my townhouse, it's not a hunting area. And I stopped for a few minutes and I told my daughter. And she told me, Mom, you need to hang up and call 911.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about this person that you saw. You said you had never seen anybody like that before on the greenway? Had you ever seen that person before? Or did you get a good look at their face?
I did not get a good look because everything was covered up.
How far away from that person do you think you were approximately?
Anywhere from 15 to 20 feet away.
And they were coming from your right to left?
Right.
When you looked at them, did you make any note or did it stand out to you how that person was walking?
Yes. He wasn't walking normal. It was like he was hatched, like he was in a hunting status, like he was looking for someone. He was hunched over. And he had the weapon in front of him. And at that time, he was looking in between my townhouse and the next one next to me where Gabe lived at, looking in between that area.
So is there a kind of a walkway that you could see, or an opening that you could see from that area where you saw this person back to the cul-de-sac?
Yes.
You said, I think I heard you say in kind of a hunting position?
Yeah, kind of hunched over, like
Okay.
he's kind of slouched down. Like
Would it help you, or could you show us if you were able to stand up? How
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, may she?
Yes, please.
He was crouched down like this with the weapon right in front of him.
And he's walking like that?
He's walking like this, real slow and looking up.
Okay. And so how long did you watch that person as they were walking like that?
At that time, my daughter told me to hang up and call 911. I said, well, Gabe lives right next door.
And did you know that he was a police officer?
Yes, I did.
And this was, I guess before we get to that, how long after you heard what you thought were firecrackers till when you saw him walking behind your home? Approximately.
Maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
So you say, your daughter says call 911 and Gabe's a police officer, he lives right there. What were you going to do then?
I was going to go get him to let him know there was someone behind the townhouse with a weapon.
And did you do that?
I opened the door, and when I opened the door, I heard a lot of noise going, and I slammed the door and locked it, and I ran upstairs.
While you were inside, did you ever hear what those firecrackers, or would later be determined to be gunshots again?
Yes, later on, yes.
How much later would you say?
Maybe 5 or 6 minutes later.
Those are estimations.
Yes.
Do you know how many you heard that time?
It sounded like 3.
When you got back upstairs, did you call 911?
No, I did not, because like I said, the windows were open, and I heard someone saying, you need to call 911. Someone called 911, and someone said they have already been called. And I heard the rescue squad siren going off in the police department, so I did not call 911.
At some point, did you find out that Gabe had been shot?
Yes. I heard Jasmine when she screamed. And I looked out. I went into my other bedroom, looked out the window. I know he had been shot at that time.
What was the next thing, if anything, that you did at that time?
I went back to my bedroom and laid on the floor.
Why did you lay on the floor?
I wasn't sure where the shooter was at that time.
So were you trying to protect yourself?
Yes.
Stay safe?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Questions?
Very briefly, good afternoon, Ms. Gavin. The person that you saw in the camo, he was walking hunched over, is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
And you watched him do this for a couple of minutes?
A few seconds, yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything further, please?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. Further evidence for the state?
Yes, Your Honor. This time the state would call Nathan Spiegel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Spiegel. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Mr. Thompson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Once you're comfortable, can you just tell the court your name, spell your last name for the court reporter,
Yes.
please?
Nathan Spiegel. Last name is Spiegel.
And what do you do for a living right now, Mr. Spiegel?
As of now, I'm active member in the Coast Guard.
Back in October of 2022, where were you living, approximately?
At the time, I was living in around Forestville Road. I don't know the name of the neighborhood exactly.
Okay. Were you in school? Were you working that time?
I was working.
Okay. What kind of work were you doing back then?
I believe I was doing staging and moving as well.
Back then, did you, was it a hobby or a practice of yours to ride a bike on the greenway over that area?
Yeah, just a hobby. Getting exercise, in the afternoon.
Okay. And was that something you did fairly regularly?
Yes.
Do you remember if you were riding your bike on the greenway on October 13th of 2022?
I do.
Can you tell us what you remember about that day?
All right, so I started out around Innocent Point Park, making my way towards Buffalo Road Park. So, as I was riding, right, that's when I got closer to Hedingham, behind it, along the trail, and came across like the first lady I had seen.
Okay.
I didn't get too close. I just saw her kind of from a distance,
Okay.
and I got off my bike.
Let me ask you this: what drew your attention to this person?
Just seeing that she was laid out on the ground
Okay.
and
Someone's
seemed
like-
unconscious.
Okay. When you ride, you wearing headphones or earbuds or anything like that?
Yes.
So had you heard anything anything out of the ordinary before
I
you
did
got?
not.
Okay. So you see someone who is laid out on the ground. What did you do?
Right, so I got off my bike. She had a small dog kind of next to her, just roaming, so it just kind of caught my attention as to what may have been going on.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. It was a dog that was roaming. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Like a small. Did you say
Right.
small dog?
It had seemed to be her dog, just the way it was right next to her.
Okay. And so you got off your bike. What did you do?
It took me a minute, just kind of looking, and then I called 911 to see if they may have wanted me to get closer or see what was going on.
Did you have any idea what was going on at that point?
I did not.
Had you ever? It sounds like you were on this greenway fairly frequently. Had you ever had an incident like this where you needed to call 911 or?
No.
Okay. So did you call 911?
Yes.
Okay. You're on the phone with 911. I imagine they're asking you some questions.
Yes.
What happens while you're on the phone with 911?
I believe they're asking me questions about. Well, I know when I first got on the phone with them, I told them that I seen a lady laid out on the ground. And then I guess they were asking me questions about. I don't know. I'm not too sure actually.
Okay. Well, did you know? Did you know what her condition was like when you first called 911?
Just seemed unconscious.
Okay. And how far away were you when you first noticed her and then called 911?
I was maybe about 30 feet.
And in that period of time where you decide to get off your bike and call 911, has she moved or anything?
No.
Is there anyone else around that you see?
So when I called 911 and I was talking with them, there were two other ladies that came up behind me that were riding their bike, and I turned around, looked at them, and told them like, just kind of wait a second. So one of the ladies went a little further up on the trail and discovered another body. So then we went over to that one, saw the lady was laid out unconscious, and I repeated that to 911.
Okay. At some point while you're on the phone with 911, did you get close to this first person that you saw?
Yes.
And can you tell us what, if anything, you noticed when you got close to them?
Right. So I do remember seeing like a bullet casing kind of close in the grass. Aside from that, I don't recall seeing blood. But I just noticed that she was still unconscious. It didn't seem like she was breathing.
And did you relay that information to the 911 operator? Is that right?
Yes.
And I think you mentioned somebody else had gone further down the trail. One of the people that stopped with you.
Right.
Okay. What did you do after you stopped at this first person that was on the ground?
That's when I guess like the 911 operator was telling me, I guess like the situation that was at hand.
Okay, and do you remember what they said, or?
Well, she described that it may have been an active shooter in the area.
And what was your reaction to that?
It was, I guess, frantic. Like, okay, like I guess I should get out of the area, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
After you got that information, where did you go?
I went into the neighborhood. Along the trail was kind of like a little path through the wooded area to get to like the neighborhood itself.
Okay. Did you at any point go to where the second person was?
Yes.
Okay. How close did you get to that person?
I want to say maybe about like 2 feet away. Like I was just kind of right there.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you notice about the second person?
Just unconscious. Didn't seem like she was breathing either.
Okay. Did you notice any blood at that point?
I didn't. Not that I remember.
Okay. Once you saw the second person, about how far apart were they, if you remember? I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. Like, were they feet, yards?
Yeah, definitely feet. I'd say about 50.
50 feet?
Yeah.
Did you know either of these people?
I did not.
And this whole time that this is going on, are you still on the phone with 911?
Yes.
After you saw the second person on the ground, what did you do? I think you said you went up into the neighborhood. What were you doing up there?
So I went up there. I was still on the phone with 911, and I seen a man standing outside of his house. and I remember going up to him, asking him like if he had heard anything. Just hearing the information that it may have been an active shooting area, I just wanted to see what was going on.
And at this point, were there other, when you got into the neighborhood, and when you say into the neighborhood, do you mean like on the street, in front of houses?
Yeah.
When you got up there, were there other people out?
Yes. I believe it was that man, and a little further up the street, I did see people like outside. I don't know if they were aware of what was going on or just outside.
And based on the information that you had received from the 911 operator, did you relay that information to other people?
No, I didn't know.
While you were there with and on the phone with 911, were you there when law enforcement arrived?
Yes.
What did you do when the police got there?
So it was an officer who had got out the car, and I had showed him where I had seen the first body.
And what, if anything, did you do next?
Well, in that moment, he had me just get behind him as I was showing him where it was, and then he had told me to just kind of, hunch down. And other officers arrived at that same location, just, I guess, securing the area, so I was just hunched over.
And at some point, you had been riding your bike. What did you do with that?
With my bike?
Yeah.
It was just kind of left there.
Okay. Where did you go? How'd you get there?
Just want to say, once I was hunched over with the officers that were just kind of figuring out what was going on, about 15 minutes later, I was escorted to a lady's house that was in the neighborhood, and I was just there. I want to say something like 1 a.m, and I had to wait to get my bike the next day or the day after, I believe.
And y'all waited until the law enforcement said it was clear to
Yes.
leave? Was this I imagine this was a bit of a chaotic and traumatic experience for you.
Yes.
Is this something you think about a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot, but it can come up at times.
And have you heard your 911 call in this case?
Yes.
Your Honor, we move to introduce and publish State's Exhibit 2, Mr. Spiegel's 911 call.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
And I think I'll connect to the system for the sound purposes. I believe I'm ready, Your Honor.
October 13th, 2022, 17 hours, 21 minutes, 5 seconds.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
I'm on News River Stream. I'm not sure like my exact location. Let me look at my maps. There's like a lady, like unconscious along the stream.
Okay. All right, sir. Hang on 1 second. Okay, you said you're on the trail.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it looks like there may be a shooter going on over there. Hang on 1 second. Okay. Where are you located?
What? I'm looking at my maps and it says around Arvington Lane Trailhead.
Okay, and you said there's a female down.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. There's a lady right here.
Did you see or hear anything else?
I was riding my bike. There's two people here that just got here with me. And I hear like a lot of yeah, I'm on. Oh my God.
Sir, what's going on there?
She's bleeding.
Okay. And is this one person?
Yes, ma'am. With her little dog on the floor.
Do you see any officers there?
No, ma'am. I just hear like a lot of sirens. I'm not sure if they're coming here or trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay, can you tell me exactly where you're at on the trail so I can tell them where to go?
There's a suspension bridge.
Suspension bridge?
Yep. What's that parking lot, Kelly? Kelly, what's that parking lot?
I'm around Bay Harbor Drive. Is my address.
What's the address?
Bay Harbor Drive. Along like Black Wolf Run Lane. I hear a lot of sirens, so they must be coming here.
Yes, they're already there. They're just looking for the people right now. Did you see anybody else around the female?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I didn't even like get too close. I just had seen and called immediately. Like I just wasn't sure. But I didn't hear like these gunshots. You know, said there was an active shooter. That's what I'm saying. It looked like she was over the drive.
Yeah.
Or maybe a straight bullet.
Go ahead and let me know, okay?
Yes, ma'am. What'd she say? Another person?
Is there anybody else around the female?
Another person? Holy shit.
Sir.
There might be another person.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm gonna run down there.
Okay.
Oh my God. Hold on.
Just let
Oh
me
my
know
God.
and be careful, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Oh my God. It's another person.
Is there another person? So there's
Guys, we gotta get out the area. We gotta get out the area. She said there might be an active shooter around here. Yeah, guys, we gotta be careful.
And there's another person that was shot
Yes, ma'am. A little farther down.
further down the trail.
Yes, ma'am. We're at the marker of 13 on 3/4 with flashing on the News River Trail.
Okay, can you say that marker again? 13 point what?
It is 13 on 3-4.
13.
3-4.
Okay.
Hold on, let me run up to this neighborhood, get up the chair real quick.
Okay. Keep your information. Anything, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of people outside right now.
All right, sir. Like I said, let me know if you see anything, okay? So I can update
Yes, sir.
what's going on.
Hey, Peterson. Do you hear any gunshots around this area? You heard something? In the back of my house. Okay. Some people down.
Do you see any officers?
No, ma'am. I just hear a lot of sirens, and it seems like they're kind of passing the neighborhood. I guess they're on their way.
Yeah, they're in the area. Like I said, just make sure
Okay, yeah, they're here right now.
Okay?
Yeah, one police officer just came.
Can you tell them where they're
Yes,
located?
ma'am. It's two ladies that were with me, and they're talking to them right now.
Okay. We need you to help them find them so they can get them some help, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes. Right. They're right here.
There's help?
We're going to 10 minutes later. Oh. Yes, sir. There's two. One lady to the left and one to the right. Yes, sir. Right here. One to the left. One right there, and then one to the right. One further down.
Okay, sir. Are you speaking with the officer?
I have one officer here with me right now.
Okay.
The other one is further down right here with her dog. Right down here. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, okay?
Yes, sir.
Alright, thanks.
Well,
October 13th, 2022, 17 hours, 27 minutes, 22 seconds.
Thank you, Ron. Mr. Spiegel, does that kind of bring back some memories?
Yes, it does.
Fair to say you undersold it a little bit. You were actually very helpful, weren't you?
Yes.
After that happened, I think you said you got let go about 1 a.m.
Yes.
Did you, in the days thereafter, have an occasion or an opportunity to talk with police officers about what you had seen?
That night, or
You did
maybe
it that
the night after, the detective had called me.
Okay. And you kind of told them what
Yes.
you told us today?
Yes.
No further questions, Ron.
Questions for the defense?
No questions, please.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. Further evidence for the state?
The state would call Gary Powell to the stand.
Good afternoon, sir. Raise your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right. Face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you introduce yourself to the judge?
Gary Powell. Last name is Powell, and I'm a sergeant with the Raleigh Police Department.
How long have you been a sergeant?
9 years.
What kind of roles have you had with the Raleigh Police Department?
Got on in 2003, went to patrol, stayed there until I got transferred to the gang suppression unit. Stayed there for 2 years. I was promoted to detective and served various roles as a detective, including technical assistance, robbery, aggravated assault, special victims, which includes sex assaults, drugs, and then homicide before getting promoted in 2017.
In October the 13th of 2022, what were you doing?
I was a robbery sergeant at the time.
So you were a sergeant over the detectives in the robbery unit?
That's correct.
At about 5:13 in the afternoon, did you get a call that you responded to?
I was in my office along with the aggravated assault and robbery personnel, and we heard a call dispatched to a shooting in the Hedingham neighborhood.
When you got that call, what did you do?
Well, all of our initial instinct was that it was a swatting call. It was a fake call based on the initial comments. Within a minute, dispatched advised us that numerous people were calling 911. So we all realized then it was probably a real call.
And is the reason that you thought it was a swatting call, you say it was the nature of the call, what do you mean by that?
It wasn't uncommon then. It's not uncommon now for us to get prank phone calls about active shooters, mass shootings, bomb threats, things of that nature.
when you realized that there were multiple calls coming in, did you respond to that location?
I did.
When you responded to that location, can you describe for the court generally the type of response that showed up at that location from law enforcement?
It was the largest response I'd ever seen from local, state, federal. Every agency in Wake County and some beyond came to that crime scene.
What role did you take as a sergeant over detectives in the robbery unit at that time?
When we left the office, it was obvious that the scene was still very chaotic. Our goal was to get to the scene and then assess what needed to be done in an investigatory role when we arrived.
And what did you decide you needed to do when you got there?
So my intention was to continue on back to the back of the neighborhood at Osprey Cove where the initial call was dispatched to. As I was turning into the main, what I would consider the main entrance of the neighborhood at South Hall and Eagle Trace, I began driving further back when a supervisor, and I don't know which one, or a watch commander advised units that we needed to shut down the neighborhood based on the ongoing threat at that time. When I heard that, I immediately did a U-turn, went back to that main intersection, posted up there, and began restricting access. There was another Wake County deputy that I'd never seen before that arrived there about the time I got back, and he helped me with that task.
Now, would that have been a normal task for you in your role there?
It would not have been.
Then what? If it's not a normal task, what made you take up that role?
Based on the complexity of the crime scene and the ongoing threat, I understood why, I don't know who the supervisor was, but why they gave it. They wanted less people entering the crime scene with the danger still at large.
What type of information did you have at that point about, you just said the danger still at large,
right,
about what was going on in the neighborhood, whether the suspect had been identified or was still at large?
Sure. From the initial call, it came out as a subject shot. The suspect was described as a white male wearing camo with a shotgun, and it was dispatched as an active shooter. As I proceeded to the scene, coming from several miles away, we were being updated. So when calls into the 911 dispatch center, the 911 dispatcher gets it and then translates it into notes, and then another dispatcher dispatches. So we were getting comments that a victim has been located, another victim has been located. Also, while on the scene, I heard an officer get on the scene. Well, let me back up. One comment had been added that an off-duty police officer had been shot, and he was identified in the call as Gabe Torres. And when the first officers arrived on scene, they indicated officer down and called a signal 25, which is everybody's coming, it's an emergency. And then as more victims were located by witnesses calling 911, it was clear based on the locations they were giving that it wasn't just contained in the neighborhood, it had actually exited to the backside of the Greenway, and that was the last location that we had for where the suspect might have been traveling.
Okay. And while you are kind of still at the front of the neighborhood, is that right?
Correct.
While you're there handling oncoming traffic, and are people trying to get back into the neighborhood who may live there?
Correct.
Are there groups of people that are showing up that are looking for individuals?
Yes, there are. It's a large intersection for a residential neighborhood. The traffic was there was a lot of traffic. There were cars lined up at both sides with emergency vehicles also trying to get through. I started going to individual cars, or as they would come up to me, I would ask them if they had family still in the neighborhood. If they answered yes, I directed them to go. There's a very large athletic center, the Hedingham Athletic Center, right there at the intersection. I directed those with families still in the neighborhood to pull into that parking lot and just stand by.
Why'd you do that?
Well, number one, I knew they weren't going to leave based on what was already being reported. Everybody that I came to, I hadn't seen the media coverage, but by that point, it was obvious to me based on the questions I was being asked of the motorists that that it had been released that something widespread had happened. So I had those with family still in the neighborhood. I instructed them to go behind the center. If they didn't have anyone in the neighborhood, I encouraged them to leave. Whether it to be, I encouraged a bunch of people, probably 100 or so, to just get out of the neighborhood, go towards New Bern Avenue, and just stand by until the all clear was given.
When you got a group of folks who said they knew people or had someone in the neighborhood, and did they stay in that parking lot?
I have no way of knowing if everybody stayed. I mean, the parking lot was jam packed by the time I made my way up there many minutes later.
So sometime later, you leave your post and go to that neighborhood or to that parking lot?
Right. About 30 minutes after I got to that intersection and started working it, two uniformed police officers relieved me, and then I went up into that parking lot at that time.
When you went to the car, when you got to that parking lot, did you approach those cars and make any further inquiry of those people?
I did.
What did you ask them?
Each car asked two specific questions: if they still had family in the neighborhood, or if they believed they had family in the neighborhood, and the second one was had been able to make phone contact with them at that point.
Okay. And when you asked those questions, if they said they had gotten up with their loved ones, what did you do with those folks?
I just kind of, none of them were being detained, but I encouraged them that they could wait if they wanted to, but I also advised that we didn't really know how long this was going to take until they got to the neighborhood, so I tried to encourage as many people to leave as possible, though many didn't.
And when you went to this parking lot, I mean, you say it was still full at this time?
Yes.
Of all the cars that were there that you dealt with and asked those questions, were there any that stood out as people that were unable to get up with people or their loved ones?
Yes, there were two.
The two?
Yes.
And do you know who those people were?
I do.
And who were those people?
The first one was a gentleman by the name of Robert Steele, Steele, and Tom Carnett. And I'm
Karnatz.
Thank you.
And were they there in cars?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll start with Mr. Steele. Did you talk to Mr. Steele at that scene?
I did.
And you asked him those two questions?
Yes.
What information did he give you as a result of your questions?
He told me that his fiancée was in the neighborhood. Her name was Mary Marshall. And I asked him again if he had tried to call her. He said yes. And I asked, when is the last time that you were able to speak to her? And he told me that prior to arriving at where we were then, he was on the phone with her, and she told him that she had heard gunshots and that the dog had slipped off the leash, and that the last direction she had seen the dog running was towards the bridge. And then she said, once I get him, or something to the effect of, once I get him, I'm going back inside.
And when he said the bridge, did you understand that to mean the Greenway?
I did.
Did he provide you with a photograph of Mary Marshall?
Not at that time, but yes, later on, yes.
Okay. After you received that information from him, did you talk to Mr. Carnett?
I did.
When you talked to Mr. Carnett, can you tell us kind of similarly what information he was able to give you?
Yes. I don't remember what his initial answer was when I encountered him on the street as to whether someone, because I think my specific question was, do you have family members still in the neighborhood that live there? But nonetheless, he informed me that he lived in a neighborhood adjacent to Hedingham, and that his wife was an avid runner, and that she had gone for a run that afternoon on the Neuse River Trail, which backs up to Hedingham. He had seen media reports. I didn't inquire to what the media reports were, but I'm assuming the shootings, or at least the call, had been dispatched, and he had seen that and said that was the area of the Greenway that she was supposed to be running on that day.
Okay. And did he tell you his wife's name was Susan?
Yes.
Was he able to give you any other information at that point in time about where she may be?
Yes, I asked, and I asked this of Mr. Steele too, but it wasn't the case with him. I asked if he had any way, if he had any tracking information, like a running app or Life 360 or something like that, and he did. And he showed that map to me, and the device was stationary on the Greenway, kind of near Sapphire Valley Drive, I believe it is.
All right. When you received that information, what was the next kind of thing that you decided you needed to do, and why?
By this point, quite a bit of time had passed. The suspect had not been located to my knowledge. Obviously, I was trying to listen to the radio and talk to people at the same time. I knew that these two gentlemen were likely loved ones of victims based on what I'd heard from the call dispatch and what they had been telling me. So I made a determination that I was going to go to the Greenway myself with photographs of the victims provided by their loved ones and the GPS information, and try to make a determination if their family were indeed the victims.
So is this when Mr. Steele and Mr. Carnett gave you photographs of Mary and of Susan?
That's correct.
And so now, armed with these photographs and the information of the running app, what did you do?
I called for a detective to relieve me so I could go accomplish that task. Detective Canny showed up. I kind of briefed him on what had happened to that point. And then I met with instructed Detective Braswell to meet me at the trailhead at Sapphire Valley Drive and the Neuse River Trail.
Why did you choose that location?
Because that's basically on the screenshot that Mr. Carnett had showed me. That was the closest trailhead.
And had you been made aware at that point that there were two white females located at that location?
Yes.
Or near that location?
Yes.
Did you go down on the Greenway with Detective Braswell?
I did.
When you got down onto the Greenway, what, if anything, did you notice?
We located a couple of officers. They had secured the first scene, which contained a white female victim who was deceased laying in the middle of the Greenway Trail.
At that time, were you able to tell if that was one of the people you were looking for?
The first one I got to, if I've got the right order, was wearing running attire with pretty distinctive lycra. They looked like denim, but they were lycra running shorts. I didn't see any visible tattoos. Saw some gunshot wounds. I realized at that point that let me back up. I had asked Mr. Carnett what she had been wearing that day, and he wasn't able to tell me. So I called Detective Canny and had him ask Mr. Carnett if she had a pair of lycra shorts that looked like denim.
Is that who had relieved you at the other scene?
That's correct.
And when you called him and asked that question, did you get any information back?
Yes, she did on a pair that matched that.
Did you feel comfortable, based on the information that you had at that time, being able to say 100% that that was Susan Carnett's?
I didn't feel comfortable enough to go forth with the death notification at that time. I was convinced, but I wasn't comfortable enough to make the death notification.
Okay. And with that information, did you notice anything else around her or distinctive at that location where she was that stands out to you today?
Nothing more than the running attire. I remember that she was more in a face down or on her side position, which is part of the reason why I didn't feel comfortable enough based on the picture I had and what I could see of her face to make the determination.
Did she have any self-protection gear that you were able to see?
Yes, she had on something on her belt, and I don't know if there was a fanny pack underneath, but something on the back of the belt that looked like pepper spray or capstone container or something of that nature.
Did it appear that it had been tried to be used or anything?
No, it didn't. It looked like it was where it was supposed to be.
Once you had this information, did you stay at that scene, or did you make attempts to locate the second individual?
Walked further down the trail, just around the curve. I really don't remember how far. It wasn't terribly far, but it was right around a curve. And I came up another couple of officers that were securing that second crime scene on the Greenway. I observed a a white female deceased in the middle of the greenway. There was a leash laying either in the pool of blood or right beside it. And there was a small gray dog kind of in the area, like not next to the body, but close enough. And with that information, based on what Mr. Steele had told me, I felt confident it was going to be Mary Marshall. I did notice that on her left forearm, she had a pretty distinctive tattoo on her left forearm.
Did it say "Above Us Only Sky"?
That's right. That's correct. And it had a couple of birds kind of towards the wrist.
When you got that information of the tattoo, did you make a call back as you had done before to inquire about that?
I did. I called Detective Canny again and had him clarify with Mr. Steele if his fiancée had any tattoos, and he advised that she had the exact tattoo on her left forearm.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sergeant, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 3. Will you look at that really quickly? And once you've had a chance, if you can tell us what those appear to be.
Those appear to be the second scene that I described with Mary Marshall.
Okay. And I'll show you State's Exhibit number 4. And if you will, you said those are photographs of that?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 4, if you'll do the same thing.
These are photographs of the first scene I described of Susan Carnett.
All right. And now, Detective, or Sergeant, I'm going to show you, and Your Honor, I'll just pass these to you when we're done, if that's okay. I'll show you the first photograph in that batch, and it is photograph 1459. Does that appear to be a photograph of Miss Carnett's face down?
Yes, that's correct.
In the shorts that you described?
Yes.
There also appear to be, I think, 4 yellow placards from CCBI at the time, but the crime scene folks, do you know what was at those placards?
Spent cartridges.
They'd be shotguns?
Yes.
Okay, or shotgun shells?
Right.
And I will point your attention to State's Exhibit 4150. Is that around her waist what you were describing as capstun or pepper spray?
That's correct.
And now State's Exhibit 4, photograph 4222. Can you describe for us what we're looking at in that photograph?
Closer to the camera is a ball cap with a hole in the front of it.
Okay. Does that appear to be consistent with a hole created from a shotgun?
That's correct.
And then State's Exhibit number 3, the first photograph in there is labeled 1024. I'll point your attention to the center of the photograph, what appears to be surrounded by crime scene tape. Can you tell me what that is?
It's a shotgun cartridge.
And then is there a better shot of that in 1108 at placard 1?
Yes, it is.
Looking at State's Exhibit number 3, photograph 1150, can we see the leash that you were describing?
Yes, that's right.
And where is it in relation to her body?
It's kind of under her head and in the pool of blood.
You stated that you were able to see some injuries, particularly to her, correct?
Correct.
Her being Miss Marshall. In photograph number 1225, can you tell us where the injury appears to be?
Mainly the chin area.
Okay. Your Honor, the State would move to introduce State's Exhibits 3 and 4.
No objection.
I'll come to the front. Sorry. Thank you. Now, Sergeant, once you were able to kind of see all of these things at each of the locations where the ladies were located, what was the next thing that you had to go do?
Notified Sergeant Wilkins, who was the homicide sergeant, so he was in charge technically of all the scenes. And I told him that I felt confident enough to make death notification to Mary Marshall's family. And I was going to do a preliminary, which I don't like to do, death notification to Mr. Carnett based on what I'd seen. After relaying that to Sergeant Wilkins, I responded back to the athletic center.
While you were at the athletic center, were you able to locate Mr. Steele again?
Yes, I was.
Was he alone at this point or with other people?
No, Mary Marshall's mother and father had shown up, Virginia and Thomas Marshall.
Okay. And did you provide them with the information that their daughter had been killed?
I did.
And did you have any other dealings with them at that time?
I provided them with contact information for the lead detective, Detective Tripp, Sergeant Wilkins, myself, the ME's office, and then I arranged a ride for them back home, and I arranged an escort for Mr. Steele to their apartment or townhome.
Having done that death notification, did you then turn your attention to Mr. Carnett's?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you had said that you were confident, but you were not 100% certain. Can you walk us through how that went when you approached Mr. Carnett's?
Well, I told him what I'd observed, mainly the clothing. While I told him I wasn't 100% confident, I felt like it was her. And he didn't say anything. He dropped his head and kind of shook his head that he understood. I told him that because at this point it had been hours that the suspect had been located but not arrested at this point, I don't believe. And I told Mr. Carnett that as soon as I had some confirmation information that it was Susan, and if and when I got information about the status of the suspect, I would let him know.
And what did he tell you, if anything, that he was going to do at this point?
He said he was going to go home to be with his children.
At some point, did you get that confirmation from detectives?
Yes, I did.
And how were they able to confirm?
Detective Harmon, who was on homicide at the time, much later on, after they were processing the actual crime scene on the Greenway, they located a runner's ID tag as well as Susan Carnett's phone in her pocket.
At some point, you also assisted other detectives in the search of the defendant's home?
Correct.
And what was your role during that search?
My role was simply to follow with them, and as they dictated what was located and where it was located, I wrote it down.
Is that pretty much your involvement in this?
It is.
Okay. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but does this case stand out differently to you than a lot of other cases that you've dealt with?
Yes.
And can you tell us partially why that may be?
The scope and magnitude of it was something that I hadn't seen before. It was the first Raleigh officer that had died from something like this since I've been employed here. I knew that one of our SCU officers had been shot. Didn't know his status at the time. And these death notifications were very difficult. Normally when when I was a homicide detective or even as a sergeant later on, there was always time. 99% of the time we find the victim, we work on it a little while, and then we go make the death notification. Kind of happened opposite this time, where the victims found me before I could identify the bodies. And the worst part was not being able to tell them that I knew that their loved ones were dead, even though I knew it at the time. The other thing that stands out is the emotional well-being of the guys and girls that I worked with on the robbery and ag assault units and homicide, and how it stayed with them.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Questions for the defense?
No questions, please.
We'll take a 15-minute recess for the next witness.
Yes, John.
Further evidence for the state.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would call Tom Carnett's.
Good afternoon, sir. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Once you're up there and comfortable, and feel free to move that microphone around, can you please tell the court your name and spell your last name for the reporter?
My name's Tom Carnett. The last name's Karnatz.
And where are you from, Mr. Carnett?
Originally from Chicago, but now I live in the Edgewater neighborhood, 2365 Lazy River Drive.
And is that where you were living back in October of 2022?
That's right. It's the neighborhood next to Hedingham.
And back in October of 2022, who did you live there with?
My wife Sue and our 3 children, Max and Oliver and Everett.
And how old were they back in 2022?
They were 15, 14, and 11.
What were some of the things that you and Susan enjoyed doing, hobby-wise?
Our main hobby was to run. We both ran every day back then and ran multiple marathons, and Sue had done some ultra marathons, so 50 miles, 50K.
So that happened every day?
Yeah, she started running every day before I did, so not just being an active runner, but they call it being a streaker, so you run every day. And she had at one point run over 700 days in a row before she got injured, but then she started a new streak, and she was still running every day.
Okay. Would you two run together?
Occasionally we would, but more often than not we wouldn't. With the 3 kids, when they were very little, I would take 2 kids in a double stroller we had and kind of give Sue a break with the running. And as the kids got older, they would stay home, and the person running would kind of have time to themselves.
Well, did there come a time where any of the other kids joined you guys in this hobby?
They all did at times, but our middle son, Oliver, really stuck with it. And so what was common was that he would run the first mile with Sue. So they'd go half a mile out and come back home, drop him off, and then she would continue her run.
And did she have back when you guys were back in 2022, did she have a normal route or a route that she did more often than not?
She ran on the Neuse River Trail more often than not, and she preferred, from where we are, she would go north on the Neuse River Trail, which is the direction that would go through Hedingham.
Okay. And how far would she typically go?
Oh, most days it would range from 5 to 8 during the week, and sometimes longer on the weekends, 5 to 8 miles.
And is that is part of that route what your son would run with her?
Right. So with it being as short as he ran, he didn't get to the Greenway, but approached it and then turned around.
I know a lot of runners have these runners apps or special watches. Did you guys have something that you shared to share locations?
Yeah, we both had Garmin watches, and a feature of that is you could have a live track of each other. So when you would start your run, the other person could follow on their app the exact location of the other person.
On October 13th, the night this all happened, can you tell the court kind of what was the routine and what was going on that afternoon or that evening?
Our oldest son, Max, was going to high school, but Sue homeschooled Oliver and Everett still. And Max had Thursday and Friday off, so we were planning to make a long weekend out of it. I still had to work Thursday, but had Friday off. my parents had come into town from Chicago to spend the long weekend with us, and they had just gotten in on that Thursday. A little while before I ended my workday, Sue set off on her run with Oliver and did the usual routine.
Do you recall about what time that would have been in the day?
I looked at the screenshot that I shared with the detective. I looked at it last night, and she started her run at 4:20.
Okay. So she started her run. Were you still home when she left?
I was. I still had to finish up a little bit of work. Not too long after she started her run, I got done with my work day and got ready to do my run also.
And then did you go on your own run?
I did. I left a little after 5 on my run.
And how was your run? Eventful, uneventful?
I also went to the New Server Trail, but I went to the south instead of the north, and it was largely uneventful until I started to get back close to home as I approached New Bern Avenue from the south, so it was about 1.5 miles from home. I could see a helicopter stationary, kind of hovering over the scene, and also a very large number of police vehicles going from west to east across the New Bern Avenue Bridge that crossed the New Server.
And this was on your way home, so eventually you arrived home?
Yeah, after going past New Bern Avenue, I came across the first patrol they were Nightdale police officers, kind of in I would say full tactical gear with long guns out and all the body armor on the outside. And they did stop me and asked if I had seen any person in camouflage or anyone with a gun, and I had told them that I had not, and they let me proceed. Very shortly after that, right where I was planning to leave the New Server Trail anyway, I came across a second patrol of Raleigh police officers, and they again gave me more details about an active shooter running through the woods with a long gun, and they said that I told them my intended route. They said I could proceed, but make sure you keep looking out for any potential threat. So then I continued home and got home. Yeah.
And then what did you do when you got home?
Well, I was eager to tell everyone at home about all of the excitement, and my parents were downstairs with the kids, and I asked where Sue was. I figured she was up probably showering after her run. We planned to go out to dinner, and they said she hadn't been home, or she wasn't home yet, and I knew she should have been. So then I looked on that Live Track app and saw that her dot was on, it looked like the far side of Hedingham. And so also started looking at the news because of encountering all the police officers and knowing there was some big event going on. So I texted her and asked, I figured she had been stopped by another patrol of police officers on the far side and told, "Well, just stay here. You can't continue on." I texted her to see if she wanted me to come pick her up, and there was no response. So then I texted and asked if she was okay, and there was no response. So I got in the car, and I knew of a few access points to the trail where I could park close to where her location was and be able to pick her up. And so when I left the home, my thought was that I would go close to where her location was and pick her up and bring her home. And when I arrived, as the detective said, he at the intersection where they were blocking traffic, there were already quite a few emergency vehicles of all different sorts, and traffic backed up quite a bit. So I went to the Hedingham athletic parking lot and quickly the detective located me, and we talked as he indicated.
And you provided him that information that he talked about.
Yeah, the screenshot of her location and I believe 1 or 2 photographs.
How long were you in that parking lot at the athletic center?
I would think 2 or 3 hours. I'm not sure. I know during the time it got dark, and it seemed like a long time.
Well, and when you went out there, you went out by yourself, or was anyone with you?
Originally, I went by myself, and while I was sitting there, two different detectives would check in on me occasionally, but I was also following the news coverage on an app on my phone, and I was texting some of Sue's relatives, her mom, her dad, her sister. And so as more time went on and followed the news and learned more information, my thoughts of bringing her home and hope that she would be okay kind of kept sinking. And when the detective asked about if she owned a pair of the shorts that looked like denim shorts, that's when I knew that she was one of the victims. I didn't need any further identification.
By that time, I think Sergeant Powell mentioned this. Had your parents or father or someone come to wait with you?
Yeah, at some point with the texting of various people, my parents had asked if I needed anything and offered to come sit with me, and so my dad drove over and we were sitting in the car together.
And after Sergeant Powell had those conversations with you, what did you do?
I drove home and met my 3 kids and told them that their mom was dead.
At this point, and you had followed some of the media coverage at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you came to learn of the other victims in this case.
Right.
And Tracy Howard mentioned, and I think Ms. Gardner mentioned, that there have been some gatherings, or at least there have been times when you all have gotten together. Was that helpful to you in trying to process what had happened?
I'm grateful for all the support that the Raleigh Police Department has given, and I think in a small way, the lunch that they put together for us that one of the other people here mentioned, it's nice to occasionally keep in touch, but I would say just in maybe a small way.
At this point, Mr. Carnett, what, if anything, would you like the court to know about how this whole experience has affected you, your family, and loved ones?
I wrote down some comments because I was afraid I'd forget what I wanted to say, so most I might read, but I just wrote this down yesterday or the day before. But in the days leading up to today and the court hearing, many people have messaged me their love and support in kind of what they figure would be a particularly tough time. And I greatly appreciate all of the love and support, but I think they don't really understand completely, because being in court here today doesn't make today hard. The roads were clear this morning. The courthouse staff is polite and professional, and there's several people in the courtroom who are in particular looking out for me and treating me with kid gloves. So being here is not hard. And Sue and I were married for 16 years, and I love her as much as one person can love another. And we have 3 wonderful, amazing boys. So talking about my family isn't hard. And what makes today hard is that Sue is not here. But that's not special. It doesn't make today special. It doesn't make the October 13th anniversary special. Every day I wake up and Sue isn't lying next to me. And that's what makes that day hard. Max or Oliver or Everett bring home a top grade, or they run a fast race, they play a great game, or maybe they're just extra kind to others, and I'm happy and I'm proud for them. But there's sadness mixed in because Sue can't be happy and proud too. When I have a particularly hectic and frustrating day at work, that's harder to deal with because Sue isn't there with reassuring words or a comforting hug. And just a week or two ago, I was going through a rare house cleaning and going through this is just an example of something, going through a bookshelf of kids' books. And it ranged from freebies from Chick-fil-A to kind of timeless classics, and the kids are teenagers, so you don't need those books anymore. So I was sorting them into ones to throw out, ones to donate, and ones to keep, and came across one particular favorite that we had read hundreds and hundreds of times to the boys. And it would have been in the keep pile for sure, but it was falling apart. So I knew it had to go. And Everett was in the room with me, so I read it aloud to him one last time. There was some emotion in my voice. And he genuinely seemed to appreciate it, which is saying something for a 14-year-old. And my heart was full because he enjoyed it, kind of a touching moment. And I had an overwhelming urge to tell Sue. But of course I couldn't. One of her great passions was reading to our kids and educating our kids, and so it was, the touching moment really kind of turned melancholy at the same time. And that's the way it is. It's all of it all together, the good and the bad. Max graduates from high school in May, and we'll be happy and celebrate his wonderful accomplishment. But in all the pomp and circumstance, I'll shed quite a few tears because Sue isn't there to celebrate with us. And in the future, there will be a lot of joyous occasions, I'm sure, for Max and for Oliver and for Everett. Going off to college, maybe getting married, maybe having the next generation of children. But I fear that for them, their joy is tempered, and I know for me, my joy at those things will be tempered because Sue isn't there to experience it with us. And every day for the rest of my life, I'll wake up and Sue will not be lying next to me, and that will make that day hard. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Carnett. No further questions.
Any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You missed that. Thank you, sir. Further evidence for the state?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state would call Virginia Marshall.
Good afternoon, Ms. Marshall. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Will you please introduce yourself to the judge?
My name is Virginia Marshall, but I go by Ginny.
Ginny.
I'm only called Virginia if I'm in trouble.
Well, we won't call you that then. I'll just call you Miss Marshall. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So I want to ask you a couple questions, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Tell me a little bit about your family. What's the makeup of your family?
My husband Tom will be married 45 years in June. My eldest daughter Megan, who is 41, and Mary Beth, as we called her, Mary, was the baby.
How old was she?
She would have been 35 9 days after October 13th.
And did she live in the Hedingham area?
Yes, she did with her fiance.
Okay, was that Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Okay. You did not live in that neighborhood,
No,
correct?
we live in Clayton.
In Clayton?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, we've already heard some testimony, right, that you showed up at the Hedingham location. Is that right?
Yes.
What, if anything, how did you find out that you needed to go over there?
My husband called me. I was still in the office, and he said Rob just called and said Mary Beth just called him that she heard some shooting, and he was further away from home than Tom was, so he just went flying up there, and he called me and told me we can't reach her. So
Rob told you that, or Tom?
Tom told me that.
Okay.
And my boss came in and he says, what's going on? And I told him, and he said, do you want to go? And I didn't think it was anything serious at that point. I said, I'll just finish the day and I'll go over there and see what's going on. And then we started getting some of the news, and he said, go. So I jumped in the car and just drove straight up New Bern to Hedingham.
And when you got there, who all was there from your family?
Tom and Rob.
Okay. And did you wait in that parking lot that we were told about?
Yes.
By the time you got there, had that whole interaction with Sergeant Powell, had that already happened, or were you present for him finding out about Mary and where she may be?
I believe he was there, and we kept saying we can't reach her. She's not answering phone calls or texts. And he said, well, maybe, she's sheltering, maybe she's being, talking to police as a witness. So we just waited.
Okay. And do you know approximately how long you sat in that parking lot?
It was about 3 hours or so because it was getting cold and dark.
And this whole time that you're waiting, you don't know where your daughter is or what's
Correct.
happening? I imagine that was a difficult thing in and of itself. Can you tell us what you were thinking or feeling at that moment?
I was like, where's my girl? Why can't we reach her? She knows how I am.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, emotional?
Yeah.
At some point, did Sergeant Powell come back and give you that terrible news?
Well, another officer was there, and he said, well, let me drive back there and see what I can find out for you.
Okay.
And then there was and I'm sorry, I can't remember which officers were there.
We don't expect you to.
We heard him on the phone talking about a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And whipped our heads around. He goes, what about that tattoo? Because we knew
The
that
Above
tattoo.
Us Only Sky tattoo?
Yeah, we knew about that, and that's when I knew. And then he came back in the car, and we noticed he was alone. And it took him about 30 seconds or a minute to get out of the car. And when he told us, we just all lost it.
Well, I want to ask you a couple of questions. If you can tell me a little bit about Mary.
As the youngest, she was our home entertainment center. She was a very funny kid. She had an infectious laugh. If she started laughing and cackling, you didn't need to know what she was laughing at. You would just start laughing too. She loved her family, loyal to her friends to a fault, and loved her nieces. And she never did get to meet her nephew.
After you found out this terrible news, how long did you stay there? What did you guys do next?
We kind of calmed down a little bit, and there was an officer there who we later found out was lived in Smithfield. And he said he just heard all the news and came in, and he ended up driving us home because he said, you guys are in no shape. But after we got the news and I gathered myself, I called my daughter, I called my sister, and I called my boss.
You let them all know what had happened?
Yeah.
And you've kind of heard some other folks, unfortunately, have to go through this testimony part. But I want to ask you, having gone through all of this and experienced it in the way that you did, is there anything that you would like for the court to know about how this has all affected you and your family? And if you've written something down and you want to read it, that's A-OK, I believe.
If I can.
Yes.
But not too fast.
I want to first thank the court and your honor for the time today. There is no way we can ever verbalize what Mary meant to our family. This is by far the most difficult thing we've ever had to go through, and I don't think we'll ever fully recover. We'll only learn to live with the pain that never ends. What can we verbalize is the joy in which Mary brought to our lives. She had a laughter that can only be described as an infectious and what sunshine must sound like. The kindest heart and soul of anyone you'd ever meet. In short, she was a light of good in this world. But 3 years ago, our world shattered. We spent hours waiting for word on Mary. Was she okay? Was she being sheltered by a neighborhood? Why wasn't she answering her phone? The uncertainty of these hours was second to the most agonizing pain only after the confirmation of her murder. The unimaginable pain her death has caused cannot be explained or described. It is impossible to know how it feels, to know that she was lying on the ground alone except for her beloved Scruff, who refused to leave her side. To know that she was just weeks short of her birthday and wedding, just short of meeting her first nephew. Not only will she never enjoy these precious life changes, but she will never get to celebrate holidays or birthdays with her anymore. There will be no more early morning birthday calls while she sings loudly and off key. No more texts with silly jokes or lyrics. Tom, her dad, will never have another 4th of July or firework evening with her. And I'll never have another girls' getaway weekend. Megan won't have an opportunity to grow old with a little sister. They say a sibling is the person who is the one constant in your life, knowing that we will grow old and die, but siblings will always have each other. This too is taken away from Megan. Megan had to explain to her children that their cherished and favorite chachi, which is aunt in Ukrainian, will never push them on the swing or play pretty princess with them was one of the hardest things she's ever had to do. Children don't understand. The level of fear that followed Mary's murder is something we never expected. You know that you have to find a way to live with the overwhelming and paralyzing pain of losing your family, but the fear of going out in public was shocking. I was terrified to go in public places, terrified to send the grandkids to school. Even now, if I cannot get in touch with my loved ones, there is a panic that was never there before. A terror that something has happened to them. Can I count the times I've checked the news for a shooting at a school where my son-in-law teaches? My daughter tracks her children now during the day just to know they're safe. If we can't reach Megan, we start calling friends. This was not a sudden, spur-of-the-moment act. This was meticulously planned, that was thought out in detail. He systematically moved through the neighborhood, attacking without care. He was searching his phone about his own attacks as it was happening. He had researched and studied the law of what could happen to him if he was caught, but he didn't plan on getting caught. He tried to take the coward's way out and avoid any sort of punishment. We thank God that he failed because it allows us some sort of justice. There will never be any closure for us. No way we can ever truly recover. There will always be a dark cloud, even our most joyous moments, knowing that Mary is no longer with us. As a family, we hope. As a family, we might not agree on the type of sentencing that should be given. However, we do agree that a life sentence without the chance of parole is the only answer. As we were given a life sentence on October 13th, 2022, when Mary was taken so thoughtlessly and abruptly from us. Thank you.
Ms. Marshall, is there anything else you want to let us know?
No, just that I missed my girl.
I appreciate you. Thank you. I don't have any other questions. They may, though, Your Honor.
Questions? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Marshall.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would call David Raleigh.
Good afternoon, sir. Push left hand on the above, raise your right, face your left foot.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Can you introduce yourself to the court? Spell your last name for the court.
David Raleigh, Rattlede.
And how are you employed, sir?
Sergeant with the Raleigh Police Department.
What types of, how long have you been with the Raleigh Police Department?
Almost 22 years.
And over those 22 years, what types of roles have you had there?
Patrol officer, drugs and vice detective, patrol supervisor, specialty unit supervisor, and I currently supervise the auto theft unit.
back in October of 2022, what was your role, if you remember?
I was a patrol sergeant downtown.
Did you hear the calls or receive the calls regarding the incident at the Hedingham neighborhood?
I did. I was parked in a parking lot near the convention center downtown, completing admin tasks to end my shift when the call started going out.
And when those calls started going out, what did you do?
Initially, the calls kind of sounded like a spoof call. It was kind of a trend at the time, and still every now and then, to have a active shooter call go out. Once we started hearing more information being broadcast, it was quite evident that this was the real thing.
And so where did you go?
I conducted an emergency response, traveled out of downtown on Newbern Avenue heading to Hedingham.
And when you got to Hedingham, was there any particular place that you went?
I went through the main entrance of Hedingham. It's a rather large subdivision. Went down the main roadway towards the back of the neighborhood where Bay Harbor Drive is to access the Greenway. While en route, there was additional radio traffic, officer down, additional information, citizens down in the neighborhood, and then additional information, citizens down on the Greenway.
And so as you're going, or as you're arriving in Hedingham, are you noticing other police response or law enforcement response?
It was an overwhelming response. Agencies from all over were responding. There was also a lot of citizens milling about on the sidewalks. I was yelling out my window, trying to tell them to take shelter, that this was a crime scene with an active threat, and then I made my way to Bay Harbor Drive.
Okay. And I think you've described Hedingham's a pretty big subdivision or area.
Yes, sir.
The amount of people, citizens out that you saw, was that something that caught your attention, or?
It was very unusual. That was my patrol beat during the early 2000s, mid 2000s. You'd have a couple people walking dogs, stuff like that, but there was a lot of citizens out for that time of day.
So you make your way back towards what you described as the back part of the neighborhood. Where did you stop and what did you do?
Parked on Bay Harbor Drive. I saw Officer Meade, who I knew from the SWAT team. We ran a lot of cases together when I was on the drug unit. Additional officers joined us. I grabbed my patrol rifle and we formed a search team and went to look for the suspect.
And at that point, what information, if you remember, did you have about the suspect?
Young white male, camouflage clothing, long weapon, and believed to be heading to the Greenway.
And once you, how did you know where to go, or how did you decide where to go?
Where we were parked, that was very close to the Greenway. We went behind some houses on Bay Harbor Drive, sweeping the area. We accessed a dirt trail that went down into the Greenway.
Once you got on the Greenway, what did you observe?
We first encountered Miss Marshall and her dog. There was an officer there with her. We continued north towards the Neuse River around a bend where we encountered Mrs. Carnett's. There was an officer there as well. A gentleman came out of the back of a house, I believe it was off of Sapphire Valley Drive. He called out that a white male with a gun in dark camo was heading towards the river. We told him to go back inside, and we proceeded towards the river.
And when you encountered both Miss Marshall and Miss Carnett, if there were other officers there, did you spend any time at those particular scenes?
It was very brief. We were focused on locating the shooter.
And at some point during this, did a canine officer join you guys?
Yes, Officer Kellogg and his canine were part of our team.
So where do you go after you've passed Miss Marshall and Miss Carnett?
We're still heading north on the Greenway towards the Neuse River Bridge. We encountered some other officers, some plainclothes. It was a kind of chaotic, very rapid, large response. Citizens were told to get off the Greenway. We made it to the Neuse River Bridge, and we were joined up by additional members of the SWAT team. We fanned out a line along the bridge at the river, and K-9 and SWAT started sweeping the area for the shooter, possibly in the woods off the side of the bridge.
Okay. And when you say the Neuse River Bridge, that's kind of a bigger suspension type bridge, is that?
Correct. I would describe it as a landmark portion of the Greenway.
And when you have, you're talking about officers spreading out and searching, can you describe kind of what is the terrain there?
So the Greenway is paved with asphalt. It goes up to the concrete bridge. Off the side of the bridge where it meets the river, it's kind of a hill going down into some very, very thick brush and some wooded areas.
And from a law enforcement, or I guess tactical standpoint, what challenges did that particular area?
There was lots of places that the shooter could be possibly hiding at and lying in ambush.
And so where, if anywhere, did you go from there?
I stayed on the bridge while they were sweeping the area. At one point, the K-9 unit and SEU officers came out of the brush. They said they wanted to backtrack and check one more area. We're not 100% confident that nobody was in the brush, so me and the handful of officers stayed on the bridge to watch that area.
And was that for security for the officers that were doing the search down below?
Correct.
Now, while you're out there searching for this suspect, what, if anything, did you hear while you're out there on the bridge?
A citizen came from the north of us traveling south. We asked him if he had seen anything. He said no. We turned him around, sent him back to the north where he came from. Based on that information and where he'd been traveling, I felt that the suspect had probably deviated off of the Greenway. K-9 and SEU returned to our location, tracked across the bridge, and made a right turn into the woods.
Okay. So you went across the bridge, and then a right turn after you got off the bridge, off of the Greenway?
Yes, sir, off the Greenway. I believe that's northeast. They continued their track, and we held a line at the Neuse River Bridge just in case the suspect was either nearby or came back towards us.
And if you took a right off of the bridge into the woods, the Neuse River would have been on the right-hand side.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear anything else hear anything else while you were in that area that got your attention?
After a while, there was additional gunfire off in the distance and a radio broadcast for an officer down.
What did you do once you heard that?
We held our position for a little while until SEU confirmed they had the suspect contained into a barn. At that point, we knew that situation was contained. Took the officers off the bridge, and we went back to the crime scene on the Greenway.
And after you got to the crime scene on the Greenway, did you do anything while you were there?
I instructed the officers to maintain the crime scene integrity. It was getting later in the night. These were day shift officers that were already supposed to be at home. So I went back to the command post on Salehi Way to check in, to let them know what I had seen and observed, and to make arrangements for night shift officers to relieve the day shift officers.
And while you were at that command post, do you have any idea what time of day this was?
Not an exact time, but we were a couple hours into the ordeal.
So you're back at this command post that's on Salehi. What happens while you were there?
I hear a female screaming about 3 houses away.
What did you do once you heard that female screaming?
Ran into the residence with an unknown state trooper and an unknown plainclothes officer.
What, if anything, did you do when you got in there?
Went to sweep the residence, went to the master bedroom, which is in the back right corner of the house. There was a trooper ahead of me who turned around and came back out. I went to the master bathroom and saw a victim face down in the bathroom.
The female that you heard screaming, did you have any idea who that was?
I did not know who she was, but I later learned that was the suspect's mother.
Did you have any interaction with with anyone in that residence when you went in?
The mother was escorted out to the driveway, and I believe she was in a seated position due to her hysteria. Overheard her screaming, "My son is dead," and then, "Where's my other son, Austin?"
And I think you mentioned that did you guys immediately go and sweep the residence and secure that residence?
We did.
Okay. What, if anything, did you note while you were in the process of doing that?
The victim in the bathroom appeared to be beyond help. The bed in that bedroom had a couple of long weapons on the bed. In the open living area, there was an open gun box with a disassembled long gun that appeared to be new that hadn't been put together yet. The other bedrooms in the house had additional weapons staged, and there was a cache of ammunition stored, packaged up in sandwich bags.
Did you say sandwich bags?
Yes, sir.
And do you happen to recall, if you remember, what type of ammunition this was?
Shotgun shells.
After clearing the residence, what did you do?
EMS was brought into the residence to make an official declaration of death. EMS was escorted back out of the residence. Went to the driveway to maintain scene security of the residence. An unknown officer roped off the area with crime scene tape. Officers from another jurisdiction assisted with maintaining crime scene security. I went to the command post and was tasked with getting a team together to canvass the street.
And when you say canvass the street, that's kind of knocking on doors, seeing if anybody saw anything.
Knocking on doors, making sure that people are okay, and determining if they saw anything pertinent.
In your experience as a law enforcement officer, how would you describe this law enforcement response?
This is one of the biggest moments in my career. I've never seen a response this large. I think every agency in the county, to include state and federal partners, arrived. We even had officers, I believe, from outside the county show up.
And when you first were arriving in Hedingham, fair to say that that was a chaotic scene?
It was.
Thank you, Sergeant Raleigh.
Carnett, any questions for the defense?
No questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next witness is Lieutenant Rigsby.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Rigsby.
Yes, sir.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant. Please introduce yourself to the judge.
Sure, good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Jamie Rigsby with the Raleigh Police Department.
Lieutenant, how long have you been with Raleigh?
Going on 25 years.
What unit are you currently assigned to?
So I'm currently assigned as the lieutenant over the Raleigh Intelligence Center, our real-time crime center.
In 2022, what were your duties and where were you assigned?
Sure, I was a sergeant, and I led a team of aggravated assault detectives.
At some point on October the 13th of 2022, did you respond to the Hedingham neighborhood?
Yes, I did.
What brought you to that neighborhood?
Sure. As it's been said, Sergeant Powell was our robbery sergeant. I was the aggravated assault sergeant. We worked at the same time. There was a call that went out to the Hedingham community regarding an active shooter. The detectives began cross-referencing the information that was given to them by dispatch because we had a rash of swatting calls or prank active shooter calls. Once one of the detectives verified that they were able to verify the number as an actual number, we became concerned and we all immediately left.
Okay. Now, we've heard that from several officers,
Sure.
right? and that we initially thought this was a swatting or a phony phone call type deal. Now, that didn't mean that the police didn't respond to that location and take it seriously immediately. It just the size of the response changed once you realized what it was.
That's correct. So the 911 call was placed. And when that 911 call is placed, our field operations officer is already en route to that. All that we did on the back end was try to be proactive to see if they're in need assistance, because if this is actually true, then it's going to be an immediate response by everyone that we have available. But we don't want to use all those resources every time that you cry wolf. So we wanted to verify it. And once we were able to verify it, then it was a all hands on deck response.
Okay. And so we've heard a little bit about this command center on Sahaley Way. Can you describe for us what that is?
Sure. It's not what you think in the TV or the movies. This happened so quick, and it was an evolving scene that was very fluid, that the command center was actually the hood of a police car, police vehicle. And it was right in the center of Sahaley Way, and then the cross street that comes through that I don't remember the exact name of that.
Okay. And so is that just kind of like the centralized location that, all right, this is where we're going to kind of have to run all this from for the time being? That's correct, because upon my arrival, not all the victims had been found yet. We were still victims were still being discovered. So that was kind of that was the first known. Lynn and Nicole were the first victims that were known. So the first 911 call that was placed, and then shortly after that, it was one after another. So the first responders responded to Sahaley Way first, and so as people are getting the additional calls, they essentially just keep the same address, and so people then go to that address and get spread out from there. So that's kind of how everybody converged at first. Okay, and that was at that 5355 Sahaley Way.
Yes, sir.
Where you said Lynn and Nicole were initially shot.
That's correct.
Right. And as you said, it's an evolving situation, and you're finding out more and more people are involved victim-wise as the night is going on.
Yes, sir.
All right. When you responded, did you respond to that 5355 Sahaley Way address?
Well, I couldn't get quite to it, but yes, I responded to the road. Then I walked up to where that impromptu command post was, which was just outside of that address. So yes.
At some point, were you able to inspect and look around that crime scene where the two, Nicole and Lynn, had been initially found?
Yes, I was able to.
Okay. And in general, kind of what was that like?
So it was like a homicide scene. Prior to being the leader of the aggravated assault squad, I was a homicide detective, and it looked just like a shooting scene or a homicide scene. There were spent shell casings, two different types of ammunition. There was a deceased canine that was there, and I just remember blood on the steps and blood on the sidewalk, like the walkway up to the steps.
When you say there were two different types of fired rounds, were they shotgun and 9mm?
They were. So when I didn't know that at first, but I knew one was a shotgun. I knew one was a pistol round.
Okay. May I approach your honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 5. Take a moment and look through that and tell me if those appear to be photographs of that porch scene at 5355 Sahaley Way.
Yes, sir, they do.
And some of those are from the street?
That's correct.
And some are closer up?
Yes, sir.
Is that how you remember it?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, State would seek to introduce State's Exhibit number 5 and publish on the screen.
Any objection?
No objection to the admission, Your Honor. There are a couple photographs I'm concerned about going on the screen.
Mr. Latour, could I see this?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Could I see this?
Yes.
identification. Photographs.
May I approach?
Yes. Are you ready, Mr. Paul?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Lieutenant, just to orient us, if you are looking at this first photograph, which is 3244 in State's Exhibit 5, kind of where is the house that we are talking about, 5355 Sahaley Way?
So to my recollection, the command post would have been behind this picture. So, and then the residence would be over on the right. This picture really doesn't give me a good
Gotcha.
bearing. The next ones will, but if I recollect, it's on the right with a garage door open.
All right. Well, I want to point out a couple things. I think right here, here, and here, there appear to be placards.
Yes.
Is that where shotgun cartridges were located that have been spent?
Yes.
Okay. The next photograph is 3247. I think we're kind of more in front of the residence now.
Yes, sir.
And again, you can see those placards, and including one in the just by the mailbox. Those are the shotgun shells.
Yes.
At least the ones in the street. Is this the porch that we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
And is there a little walkway that leads from the driveway to the porch?
That is correct.
All right. And going to the next photograph, which is 3262, we're closer up.
That's correct. You're walking up toward the sidewalk that goes up to the driveway. I mean, the steps.
Be here to the left.
Yes.
And again, we've got more placards.
That's correct.
Now, also, we see here a Lexus in the garage. You know, was that Lexus damaged?
Yes, it was. I recollect that there's fluid there on the ground of the garage. A round had struck that radiator, I believe.
Okay. And the next photo is 3505. Are we making our way now up the porch?
We are walking up the porch to the front door.
And to the left, to the right, we see the dog. Is that the dog that you said was deceased?
That is correct.
Were you able to tell what led to the death of the dog?
It was a gunshot.
Okay. And we see some other placards on the porch. Are those, at least some of those, indicating the handgun cartridges that you talked about?
That is correct.
And the next photo is 3514. Is this red stuff obviously blood?
Yes, sir, it is.
And is this kind of how the scene appeared when you observed it?
Yes.
We can see some plants and things that are knocked over. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And then finally, 3769 in State's Exhibit 5. Is this just a little further up?
That's correct. That's further over toward the side of the railing.
Now, looking here in the center, just above placard 18, there appear to be some scales and orange paper. Do you know what those were?
It's indicative of gunshots or bullet holes.
If we zoom in on it, that might help.
That is correct. That would be a bullet hole, and it's been placarded to get the measurement.
Okay, and those are done by, at the time, CCBI, who would show up, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. While you were there, you have a chance to kind of look at this crime scene. Do you interact with any of the witnesses or people who were located at that residence?
I do. I was notified that the husband of one of the victims was present and was standing there. So I did go to speak with him.
Was that Tracy Howard?
That is correct.
And when you spoke to him, where did you speak to him?
I spoke to him just down from that crime scene, right in the middle of the street.
Okay. And was he able to give you information about what he had observed?
Yes, he was extremely helpful.
Okay. And when you spoke to him, where did you have him go, or what did you have him do?
Sure. Again, still a fluid situation. Everything's evolving, coming in right now. I asked him if he had any friends or family that were local that he could go and just hang out with for a little bit until we got further information for him. He stated yes, that there was a neighbor, friend down the street that he could go and stay with for a little bit.
Did he do that?
He did.
And while he's doing that, what are you doing?
We're still trying to find out who our shooter is, kind of what's going on. It was kind of, a lot of information was come in, be pulled in this direction, that direction. I was in constant contact with Sergeant Powell, and then a few of my detectives, when we all left together, they kind of spread out. I had one go to the hospital. I had others canvass the neighborhood. We all went to different crime scenes.
At this point in time, from the first 911 call until what we're talking about now, do you know who the shooter is?
I have no idea.
Had he been located?
So at the point that we're talking about right now, with me talking to Tracy, no. Sometime later, he was, for lack of better terms, pinned down in a location. I was notified, so I knew that he had been pinned down. He hadn't been located yet.
Approximately how long are we talking about that you're out there before he's, as you've said, pinned down?
It seemed like days, but in the grand scheme of things, it was maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour. But that's just my recollection.
While you were there and waiting on this, trying to get information, what's the next thing of significance that you find out about?
Yeah, so while I'm there, one of my detectives went straight to the hospital. He called me. He told me that Officer Torres had died. Sorry. The deputy chief was standing next to me, and I told him that news. And we pressed on because we had a job to do. Sometime after that, the news was coming in to me that people were being found dead. I was told that the person at the hospital had died. So I went down to tell Tracy that.
Okay. When you went down to tell Tracy that, at this point we've learned of the individuals at the porch, we've learned about Officer Torres, and you've now learned about the other people being found on the Greenway, correct?
Yes.
But still no location of the shooter, or by now do you know?
Oh, so by now I know that Officer Clark's been shot. I know that he's been taken to the hospital, and I know that SEU is working that operation. But to be quite honest, that wasn't of my real concern. And I knew that division's handling that. I need to focus on my task here. So yes, I knew all that was going on. So it was sometime later as it's evolving. But I did want to try to. I felt I needed to get Tracy to the hospital.
Okay. And so did you go down there and make some efforts to have that happen?
I did.
Okay. And ultimately, was he able to get to the hospital?
My understanding, yes.
All right. As you are walking back to the command center area, what happens next that catches your attention?
Sure. So it first caught my attention on the way down to talk to Tracy initially.
Well, what caught your attention then?
Yes, sir. On my way down, there was a SUV that was pulling up the Sahaley Way, and I thought that was odd because traffic had been blocked off to that neighborhood for quite some time at this point. The vehicle stops, and I'm one track mind just going, but I just remember the vehicle stopping. There was a female that I later found out to be the defendant's mother that got out of the vehicle. We made eye contact with each other, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of thought it was odd, but she said to me, she's like, I live right there. And I said, okay. And so she walked toward that house. I went and spoke to Tracy and the neighbor. Then on my way back up, I saw that the garage door was open on the house that she said was her house.
Okay. And was that ultimately 5345 Sahaley Way?
Yes, that's correct. It was two houses down. There was a house. So from where the first crime scene was, or the crime scene that I was at, there was a house in the middle, so the porch, then there was a house in the middle, and then there was this house.
Okay.
So on my way back, I noticed the garage door being opened, and the female is now inside the garage, and she's banging on the door from the garage to the house. And she's saying, Austin, open, or kids, it's me. She may have said the names. I think she did say the names. It's mom, open the door. It's mom, open the door. She then left from there, went to the front door of the residence, up on the front porch, and was beating on the door. It's mom, open the door. It's mom, open the door. I saw her get down and kind of walk to the side of the house. Honestly, I was like, there was lots of people trying to get in their houses and different things, and I thought maybe that the kids were just hunkered down in there because people were shelter in place, that sort of thing. So I continued on to where the command post was to report back, hey, I took care of this assignment, and make a plan of what we need to do next.
So when you get back to the command post, after seeing her walking around, knocking on the doors, calling out, what's the next thing that, if anything, that draws your attention to that house?
There was a scream that I'll never forget. I've never heard it before. And I ran down there, and there was a trooper and Raleigh and some other officers. The trooper went in first. The lady is still screaming, like she will not stop screaming. Went in the house. At this time, we went in the garage door, so somehow she'd gotten the garage door to the house open. The trooper went ahead first. I went in right behind him, and I immediately knew that this wasn't right. Like honestly, I thought this is the house. This is our shooter's house. I saw ammo all over the place. I saw guns strewn about all over the place. As officers were coming in behind me, I went with the trooper. We went, and then so Raleigh was there as well, and we found a white male in the bathroom floor.
And that would be the primary bathroom?
That would be the primary bathroom. He was in the back, and he was on the floor.
And when you say he was on the floor, could you tell that he had been injured?
Yes. So as I stated earlier, I was a homicide detective, aggravated assault detective, been to countless crime scenes, and there was I'd never seen that much blood inside the bathroom. So I immediately knew that he was beyond help. At that point, there was just so much blood covering him.
Where was the defendant's mother at this point in time?
So she was located, and I want to say it was a bathroom of the house, or it's like a bathroom when you go in, maybe off the garage, but there was a room there.
A separate bathroom, though?
That's correct, yeah, right when we went in, because we kind of went past her, because other people were coming in behind us. They had removed her at this point and taken her outside of the garage and sat her down in the driveway to try to get her some medical attention. She was extremely hysterical, but that's where she was at that point.
And once you clear the house, make sure there's nobody else in the residence, where do you go from there?
Sure. So as I'm coming back out of the house, we're clearing the house, making sure no one else is there. I go into what was a bedroom. Inside the bedroom, there was ammo strewn about there on the bed. And then there was also a handwritten note.
And were you able to determine at some point whose bedroom that was?
I later found out that it was the defendant's bedroom.
And did you collect any of that evidence at that point, or what did you do at?
Well, so at this point, it was my recollection that like the shooter was pinned down in a barn, but we didn't know who he was. So I was trying to gather as much information as I could about who this shooter was, because I believed that this was our shooter. And the only way to get that was to look to see, well, one, I saw a note there, so I wanted to see, what is this about? And then two, I wanted to speak with the mom, because she clearly could have some information, maybe shed light that I could give the people that were out at the barn if we needed to negotiate with this individual or just get some more information.
So you read the note at least in part?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And after you did that, did you go out and try and talk to his mother?
I did. I went out and spoke to her, and she kept saying that we had to find who did this because they had that her son was missing and that he was probably scared. But she just kept repeating that, and I point blank I told her, I said, I think your son's involved in this.
Did she give you his information about his name, telephone number, anything like that?
I believe I got the names. I don't remember if I got the telephone numbers, but I do know that I got their both the boys' names.
And she told you that the deceased son was James?
That is correct.
And that the son that was missing at this point in her mind was Austin, the defendant?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And based on the information that she had provided you and what you read in the note, did you feel confident at that point that he was the individual who you were all looking for?
Without a doubt.
We're going to recess here and begin tomorrow morning, sir. I'll ask you to come back, resume your position tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
We'll begin at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Superior Court being in recess till tomorrow morning, 09:30 hours.